Welcome everybody to the regular meeting of the City of Aransas Pass City Council. Today is November 20th, 2023, and the time now is 5:30. Would you all please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts for what you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for your grace, your mercy, and above all your Son, Jesus Christ, that you gave to die for us and pay the penalty for our sins. I thank you, my Father, for the blessings during this year as we are ready to get ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, for the great things that you have given us, my Father. I know that our community, many have suffered losses, family members, loved ones, loss of job, illness, but my Father, you promise to always be with us, to sustain us and to walk with us during these difficult times in our lives. I pray, my Father, that you guide us as a council to make the right decisions for our residents, my Father, that we keep the residents in mind and what's best for the city of Aransas Pass. We ask your guidance upon our department heads, that they also, in unity with the council, make the right decisions for our residents. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, some glasses, can't see it though. All righty, we would like to introduce our new Parks and Recs manager. It's been a long time coming. Thank goodness.
Good evening, Council and Mayor Pro Tem. Is it on?
I don't
No.
think so. No.
How's that? Just needed to restart. Good evening, Council and Mayor Pro Tem. As you all know, because you have been a huge support of this process, the Community Enrichment Department has been working diligently on forming and bringing back to the community our Parks and Recreation Department. This is a department that will focus on the 4 key pillars that we have been working on: parks, events, sports, programs, those types of things. And we're very excited to announce that we have finally identified and brought on our new Parks and Recreation Manager, Mr. Andrew Tarkington. We are very excited. He brings with him a lot of experience and some great opportunities for the department. So I'm going to give him a few moments to introduce himself.
All right, welcome. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Look forward to hopefully getting some programs started here and working on the swimming pool now and with all its problems and working on it and trying to get it back up to shape. And anyway, looking forward to working here. Thanks for y'all's support, and like I said, glad to be here.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now we will move on to a presentation by Patrick Nye, President of Ingleside on the Bay Coastal Watch Association, regarding ammonia risk.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate it. Can y'all hear me? I don't speak very loud. Is there a volume that I can maybe do better? Y'all can hear me? Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to y'all about this Enbridge Yara ammonia project that they are pushing full speed ahead. What we have, if we can go to the PowerPoint slide, I think you have to go slideshow.
Oh, okay.
It's good. There we go. Go one more up. More. I think you're going down. Let's go the opposite direction. There we go. So Ingleside on the Bay Coastal Watch Association has taken on citizen science, as I've told you before when we talked about the carbon capture and sequestration or carbon capture storage over in McCampbell. We are looking at air quality issues, and I still promise y'all an air monitor. They answered finally that it's on its way. With that, they said that 3 months ago. But regardless, I would like to show you what we've learned in a short amount of time based on this Yara and Enbridge permit that they're putting forth. First, you'll see is that the stars are the different ammonia facilities we think are coming to this area. There's probably more, but this is what we've identified so far. The hearts, of course, these are the schools. These are where the children are in Ingleside. And what we're going to do is give y'all an air monitor, and we're going to put the hearts that you love, your children, the people that grow up in this community, in Aransas Pass. We'd also want to show you that the diamonds here are the air monitors that we have been measuring for about 2.5 years, some of them more recent than others. And the little pump jack or the derrick there is where they're going to put this carbon capture. They're shooting 3D seismic right now. So what we understand is that the Port of Corpus Christi is trying to force feed us a carbon capture location in McCampbell Airport, as well as some other things that one of my other associates will be talking about as well. What's another thing that's important is if you look at Enbridge and Yara, Enbridge is a Canadian company and Yara is a Norwegian company, and they're coming to our backyard and they're going to put in an ammonia plant, which would be probably the worst possible thing we could experience in this area, and I'll tell you why in a minute. The other thing that's on this slide is the wind rose. So if you look at the blue arrow, that's the direction it's flowing from, going toward the hearts and the citizens of Ingleside on the Bay, and Aransas Pass. This is what we're measuring, and we want to make this very clear of what we're measuring and what this means to all of us. And we hope that you understand. If you have some great questions here, I'd like to answer anything we can. Next slide, please. So what is blue ammonia? They're calling this blue ammonia, and the only way you can do that is if you capture the carbon dioxide that's released from this process. They have to capture it and store it. So what Enbridge and Yara has done is they've created what they call the Ingleside Clean Ammonia Project, using clean being just the carbon dioxide. When you see the constituents, or you see the compounds and the elements and the pollutants that are coming out of there, it's nothing clean about this. So what they have published, though, is that they have a major stationary source of carbon monoxide, also particulate matter, and I'll go into that in more detail in a minute. And then all these other compounds, the VOCs, volatile organic compounds, the NOx and SOx that create ozone problems and as well as breathing problems. The greenhouse gases are going to be enormous volumes of greenhouse gases. And then what's striking to me, and should be to every one of us, is at the very bottom it says ammonia. They're going to be releasing, not just producing, but releasing 66 tons of ammonia every year. That's on top of these other compounds. So this is a clean energy that they're promoting. Please be aware. Next slide, please. So this is what they are giving you, a simple, plain language summary of what they're going to do. And I have to back up because I can't see this through my bifocals. So here are the clean energy partners, and the first thing on their list is volatile organic compounds. That's the constituents in oil and gas. It's not soluble with water. It gets up in our airstream, and they already have a permit for 85,000 tons per year. So this is in addition to that 33.22. It's very interesting they get down to the decimal points. So the thing that's over is the carbon monoxide and particulate matter. It's outside the EPA and the TCEQ's rulings. So we can go into that at a later date. The particulate matter, that's the 2.5. That's microscopic. It gets into your lungs. It gets into your bloodstream. It causes severe health, premature death. It affects The elderly, our children, and those with heart disease or lung disease already in place. So this would be in addition to these other pollutants. And then if you go down, there's ammonia, 66 tons a year. And then this is the carbon dioxide. This is the clean part of it. They want to put 3.3 million tons a year of carbon dioxide. That's the greenhouse gas that's warming our planet. It's warming raising our sea levels that we're going to have to face. So this is what they're going to promote. As you see the pipeline infrastructure, hopefully they won't go through Aransas Pass, but they already have all these oil pipelines. In addition to that, they have to bring in a methane, a natural gas pipeline. And then to be clean energy, blue ammonia, they have to take the CO2 and take it through pipelines through these same portals, I guess, or these same right-of-ways. And so it goes right next to the schools. CO2 is an asphyxiant. If it ruptures in a pipeline, you can't smell it, it stays at ground level, and you can die from it. In Mississippi, they had an explosion in a pipeline, and 45 people went to the hospital. They couldn't even start their emergency vehicles because there's no oxygen. This stuff's not good. It's not clean. So that's what's going to be coming in and out. And then this is what really gets me, is that the carbon capture will allow your federal tax dollars, every one of you, your federal tax dollars that you're paying, they get to collect these dollars, and they can capture, if they can capture the CO2, they get $85 per ton. In other words, if they're able to capture that much, $250 million of our money goes into a Norwegian and a Canadian company's pockets. So we're paying federal dollars, we're allowing them to pollute our areas, and they get to pocket the money. So keep that in mind as you go through this thing. So not only you have these cancer-causing these pollutants coming out, they get to keep our money too. Next slide, please. So I went to a carbon capture seminar the other day, and 2 guys from MIT were there. I mean, brilliant people. There's not an aquifer storage for carbon capture anywhere in the United States. There's one that uses it for ethanol. But they still claim that they're going to capture 95% of the CO2. This David Schlissel told us that carbon capture technology is like going from the Wright brothers plane and designing a 747. That's how far out of whack this thing is. And yet they're still going to try to claim this is a clean energy and put this stuff up because they're going to make money on ammonia whether they get this other or not. So they believe, yes, Enbridge and Yara are saying in their permit, it's still new. And in the event the infrastructure is not fully operational, so if they can't get it running, they want 180 days to start up each ammonia facility. They're putting in 2 trains. So they get to produce 360 days of CO2 and who knows what else. I believe that air permit will be amended time and time again because those numbers just don't seem accurate when you compare it to other ammonia facilities in the United States. So what you need to know is that they're putting stuff in front of us that they're calling clean, that's going to take money out of your pockets, our pockets, and we get to sacrifice our money and our health. Next slide, please. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our studies and what we've been doing. What we have used is not only air monitors, but optical gas imagery. These are videos that cost about $100,000 per unit, but they can see what you can't see with the naked eye. So this is at Enbridge, and so the gray stacks at the bottom, that's the flare stacks that are coming up. All that cloud is what does not get burned up and goes downwind across our communities. So if you see that cloud, that's what's going to happen. You see where the windrows is. So there's going to be volatile organic compounds, hazardous materials, and then 2.5 will be in there as well. If you could press that one more time, I'm going to show you what this imagery looks like. And then at the bottom right, left of that slide, there should be an arrow to start it. You punch on the, yeah, there you go. Bottom left, there you go. So this is optical gas imagery that was captured at 2:08 in the morning at Enbridge. This is what they're releasing when we're asleep. And we're measuring a lot of this on our monitors. So all that stuff that's not the flare is going up into our atmosphere. Just imagine if you put an ammonia plant that's going to be right there next to it going up through our communities. When the wind's blowing wrong, somebody will be affected. Maybe not all of us, but most of us will be. So that's what we're measuring. That's what we see is going to happen. And we think everybody here in this peninsula is going to be in the direct fire of this. We'll go next slide real quick here. So this is what the permits have already been signed up to do, and this is what TCEQ has allowed. So if you look at VOCs, that's the volatile organic compounds. This is the largest oil exporter in North America's Enbridge. They're already putting out 85 tons per year. Buckeye is the second largest oil exporter in North America at 35 tons per year. And Flint Hills, an older facility, is able to produce another 53 tons per year, plus all these other pollutants. And it's going through our area. So this was very alarming. And then if you add the ammonia and what happens with the TCEQ, and you need to understand, I don't think they have our health and welfare in the best interest. What they do is they take each individual air permit and treat it separately. They don't combine. There's no cumulative effects that they're using to measure these things. So you can put up any facility you want, and it's only going to be measured by what your output is. So you've got to think mentally, all this stuff is going to be going out in our atmosphere and into our public. So with the prevailing breeze, that is a lot of constituents, and we already know how bad it is for us. Next slide, please. All right, so this is what we're measuring. So volatile organic compounds are known cancer causes. They're the benzene, the toluenes, the ethylbenzenes. And it depends on where you live as how much you're getting. If you go to let's start out at Port A. Port A is the second from the bottom. What they're getting, of course, they're in a tourist environment. They don't have any industry nearby. And they're averaging, 10 to 14 parts per billion. So that's a pretty nice day on the beach. If you go to Gregory at the top, 57,000 parts per billion they got in the month of May. Ingleside, 52,000 parts per billion. Ingleside on the Bay, we get a side swipe of that, but we're still getting components, 449 parts per billion. We don't know what Aransas Pass is going to get. We need to find that out and find a good home so that you guys can measure this. So if you're directly downwind, like Gregory is from Cheniere and these other refineries along that part of the coast, they have the highest parts that we've measured throughout the coastal bend. Ingleside is not far behind. Ingleside on the Bay, I think we're fortunate that we're sideswiped, but at some events we get into the tens of thousands when they get the wrong direction. So we're going to get the particulate matter in our lungs, and we're going to get the VOCs of cancer causing. So put these numbers and add 66 tons of ammonia as you drive to and from Corpus Christi, and you drive through that plume of this stuff. It is really, there's not a word for it I can explain. I just want you to see the data so that you can understand it. I'm going to introduce Charlie Boone here.
Hi, I'm Charlie Boone. I'm treasurer of Ingleside on the Bay Coastal Watch Association. Go to the next slide. Patrick's done a good job of telling you what these emissions that we'd be breathing every day, what kind of problems that would cause. And those kinds of things are cumulative. You know, you get chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, COPD, asthma, cancer, that kind of thing. But remember what they're asking you to do with this air permit is to put in an ammonia plant, a very large ammonia plant. So what are the actual effects or risks from getting a leak of ammonia or having a spill of ammonia in the area? In that case, it's not like a cumulative effect. It's like an immediate damage to the person up to death. It can kill somebody if they come into contact with the ammonia. So if there's a leak, so you got all of these things that are just spewed out every day, but then you have the real risk of us having some sort of catastrophic event. I was passing out leaflets in ILB today to get people aware of this. And I talked to my neighbor across the street. He said that he worked at Sherwin out here near Oxy for 30 years, and that they went up on the tower, up on top of the tanks. They were using that. He just had to be there for that. And he looked over toward Oxy, and there had been an ammonia leak overnight. There was this cornfield at that time. The cornfield had this huge scar running down it. All of the corn was dead through that scar because of leaked ammonia. And so that's the problem that we're seeing. If you go through and look at what these things are saying up here, Tyson Ammonia Labs, from between 2012 and 2021 have had 150 injuries and have 47 leaks. You got the Illinois truck leak, 5 people killed. In Donaldson, more recently, December 2022, there's that big graphic of the newscast there. That's Donaldson, Louisiana. Has the largest ammonia plant in the United States operating there. And they had an event, a leak on, I guess on December 1st of 2022. They had to shut down the schools, have the kids shelter in place. It shut down 2 highways for 5 hours. And what they were doing was basically, unhooking and trying to hook another pipe up to get the stuff transported. You got to transport it. So what Patrick showed you is there would be an ammonia plant in Ingleside. There would be pipelines running down to the bay, and then there are large ships over there from Norway that are getting loaded up. Well, that means that they're going to be turning them on, turning them off. If any of that fails, you end up with potential for a really catastrophic event. So besides getting daily problems, you get all of these potentially catastrophic events going on. I'd like to point out one thing before I go on. I have one more slide to cover, but Patrick mentioned the Campbell Airport, right over here between Ingleside and y'all know where it is. Anyway, the Port Authority, of course, has bought most of the property around there. The Port Authority has some options leased out to various companies. We understand that some of them are options for building more ammonia plants over in that area. In Donaldson, Louisiana, they actually have 3 plants within a, I think, 5 to 10 mile radius on the Mississippi River. We could challenge them for the worst area if that starts happening in McCampbell as well. Go to the next slide. The other thing that I wanted you to know, the Canadian Occupational Safety, like their OSHA, basically it's their OSHA, are saying that it can be fatal with only a few breaths. Ammonia can be corrosive, respiratory tract, cause skin burns and eye damage. And when they started doing some clear cutting, some cutting of the coastal oaks that are out at the facility near Enbridge, and Ingleside sent somebody out to tell them to stop doing that. And the index printed this quote from the individuals operating that plant out there: "Stop screwing us over with your local government." They're not really very, in other words, they want to just operate their stuff and not listen to what kind of input's gone on. And that has to do with Enbridge, which of course is a Canadian company. Yara is a Norwegian company. And Yara has some plants in other places. In Australia, they were operating at 23 times higher than what they told them they were going to operate at. So all of the stats that Patrick presented here that were daily kinds of emissions, they could be operating them at a higher rate than really than they say they're going to operate them at. And that our only recourse at that time is to call TCEQ and tell them to come out, which they do rather slowly. And then when they get there, it's not done, and then nothing happens, frankly. The last thing I wanted to mention here is Yara so why are they doing this here rather than in Norway or somewhere else. It's not very popular in Europe to be having these ammonia plants. Yara actually had an initial public offering, a stock offering for their clean ammonia projects in Norway. It had to be pulled. They delayed it to 1 to 2 years because when they valued the stock, it valued way below what they needed to do this kind of project because people didn't want it there. They then went back, I read today, and said that they were going to rely on U.S.-made ammonia over the next 10 years to be able to reach their goals in Norway for greenhouse gas savings. So not only would they be taking our money there, they're also like using the production that's going on here and then the big shipping charge that's going to go with it to their advantage and not to our advantage. So I have one, Cindy. We're going to tell you, last of all, put on the next slide, what we can do about it. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you. My name is Cindy Valdez. I am the Executive Director of Ingleside on the Bay Coastal Watch Association. I'm just going to wrap this up real quickly with what can we do going forward? How can we stop this? How can we voice our concerns and opinions? First of all, maybe you guys as a council could pass some sort of resolution against an ammonia facility being located in Aransas Pass if that could come to fruition. Or you could consider ordinances prohibiting the CO2 pipelines within city limits, prohibit the ammonia releases, the emission releases within Aransas Pass, or you can maybe do an ordinance that would enact penalties and fines for toxic air emissions within Aransas Pass, or don't pass any tax abatements or tax incentives. The other thing you can do is you can file your comments to TCEQ for the new ammonia permit. It is permit number 174275, and request a public meeting and a contested case hearing. The TCEQ bases whether or not a public meeting is granted based on the amount of comments that they get. I do have here today mail-in comment cards to make it easy for you. You can just check a box, put your concern, put your name and address, and those can be mailed in. Or you can go online and submit your comment directly to the TCEQ. The other thing you can do is you could write your Department of Energy or the Environmental Protection Agency against federally subsidized blue ammonia and unproven carbon capture. Please educate your family and friends about the concerns of blue ammonia. You can refer them to our website at iobcwa.org. One thing to really think about when you're talking to your friends and family is when an incident, if this was to be approved and an incident will occur, there will be an accident of some sort. We have no hospitals. We have no, in Ingleside and Ingleside on the Bay, our fire departments are volunteer as they are wonderful in fighting fires and doing the other calls that they do. We don't have the training or the knowledge to handle something like this that if an emergency situation were to happen. Also, you want to attend a public meeting. The Enbridge Federal Operating Permit meeting, as you can see below, is January 11th. And that is going to be at the Portland Community Center at 7 p.m. Please show up, talk to them about your concerns, or support the commenters that are talking about the concern. Basically, we want to flood that room. We want to show them that we as a community are up in arms and not, we are upset about this ammonia plant and all these air permits that they keep doing time and time again and amending and for more, bad air emissions. Tell them that you have these foreign companies that are taking advantage of our lax regulations. They don't want to build this plant in Norway or Europe. They want to build it here because our regulations are a lot easier to get these things passed through and done. Because they're taking our tax dollars and they're affecting our health, and they're shipping this ammonia overseas for fertilizer. We are not getting any benefits whatsoever. And I also have these particular brochures that will give you some information about the Ingleside ammonia plant that Enbridge is being presented. So once again, thank you guys so much for letting us come and speak to you today and share our concerns about this plant.
Thank you. That was very informative yet very disturbing at the same time. And it's thank y'all for coming and presenting all of this information to our residents. I know it's being live streamed as well, so.
I like your PowerPoint, very good, but for the community, I don't think you went over the threshold limit over at TWAs or the time weighted average for ammonia or your VOCs, and that would probably go a long way for bringing that or get it to us. Makes sense, but it's really good, and if you need help on that, give me after the meeting, I don't mind going help you battle with this. Yeah, I do health, safety, and environmental for a living, so I don't mind. Thank you. I just don't think the people understand what your parts for living are and how they affect you over an 8 hour time like that. When you're talking about something outdoors, which is a little different, but it still can affect you.
Thank you, Patrick. All right. No more questions. We will move on to Tiny Homes, the old Paladin site with Patrick Gorman.
I won't take up that much time. It's pretty simple. We've got a little thumbnail here, if they can pop it up.
Yeah, one second. I'm trying to find my. Yeah, I'm trying to find
One of the
my
people who closed the properties. I don't know if everybody is familiar with the Paladin. Kind of the offspring of the area.
Unfortunately, most of us are.
Yeah. Well, we've pretty much started over. We got a clean slate. We got a new canvas.
And it looks wonderful, by the way.
We haven't even started though. Honestly.
Right, just cleaning it up, it looks
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. The trees in there you couldn't buy. I mean, there's not enough money in the world to buy them. They're beautiful. So the property's gorgeous. What we're trying to do is bring in affordable housing for seniors that is more on a park model basis. So the word tiny homes, these are some of our parks. This is up in Cleveland, Texas, just 30 miles north of Houston. You can see the old park, and then when I purchased this park, I expanded it. It's beautiful. It's got pickleball, basketball. It's not 98 acres. It's a beautiful property. These are the things that I want to bring to the area. If you scroll a little bit further, here's me and my kids. You can keep on going, but if you look at this here, what we'd like to do is set up a sales office. We're going to get these units at a bulk price. They're American made in Oklahoma. I actually buy them for $42,000. And if you keep going, there's some more photos. This is my boy here, Pat. You know, these are some of the jobs we've done in Arizona. But these homes right here, when we come in, we pave parks, we put down concrete. I mean, they're just done nice. I mean, they're not rinky-dinky things that are going to blow away. They're all made like a home. They've got lofts in them. They're $55,000. You know, people are going to come in. They're going to be able to live in this beautiful area. You're going to have such a nice asset pulling into the town that will beautify the area. People that move into our park might be background check. There's a major problem with that in these parks around here. I don't want to get too graphic, but there's a lot of stuff, as you know. It's pretty simple. We want to fill this park, Paladin, the larger site, with 40 of these. I've got a little map on the very end, but if you flip through, there's just some photos. I mean, these are homes that are built in Arizona. And if you go back to that other photo real quick, I want to show you. I visited, these homes were sold in 2019, or 2020, for like $42,000, all in, set up, done. Those same homes right now are like $90,000. So if you purchase an RV, you put it out there, it's beat by the sun, it just wears down, they start to get old. That customer says, you know what, I want to get something fresh. They sell it to somebody, they move on, and then that old trailer just simply disintegrates, and you get a lower clientele every year. These things are going to be the opposite. They're going to be beautiful, and they're going to make things really nice for the area. If you zip a little bit further by, that unit right there, like I said, that actual unit, that's a photo I took 4 days ago, or I guess it's been about a week ago. It's in Madill, Oklahoma. Delivered here, 43 grand if I buy them by bulk. And then I skirt them, make them look lovely. I don't make $1 on these homes. I'm not looking to make money on, I'm not in the home selling business. I'm filling up the community, seniors 55 plus, that's our goal. You can zip here a little forward, I've got some basic photos. If you go to westportholdings.llc, you can see all this stuff, or if you visit our Facebook page for Rockport Ranch, that's our other parks. But this is kind of just a rough drawing, of course, but that's what we want to try to develop into. And it'd be called the Aransas Ranch. And instead of pulling into town and looking away, you want to pull in and check it out. It's going to beautify the area. But I need support. I need you guys to spread the word. Basically, this old park, somebody came in and bought a couple of houses and said, hey, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to do. And that's been real popular down there. And that's not the way I want to do this. And when I sell these homes, I want to make sure that all the infrastructure is in place where if somebody purchases it and they put one in there, they know that they're not doing anything wrong. So I'm asking your support to give me the proper zoning so that we can make this place beautiful. That's really all I have to say.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
There are a couple of things we have to do to work with Mr. Gorman, and he's been a very good person to work with, actually. And that is we have to close one of the alleys, and Mr. Gorman's agreed with the request made by Public Safety to make it a direct route from Commercial back to Houston, I think, to the road back there, which is not the case right now. It winds around, point one. Point two, we also have to address some ordinances. We're working with Planning Department on that right now, and all that will be, if you agree, all of that will be coming back to you very soon. So, okay.
Thanks. All right, now we will hear a presentation from the Leadership Aransas Pass Class 8 regarding a community project.
Hi, my name is Nestor Angel. I'm part of the Class 8 Aransas Pass Leadership. We are trying to bring in tourism to this town and do something nice for this town. And what we came up with, our class project, this is our class, we came up with maybe putting these caricature boards all over town, which would be like our parks, maybe there's shrimpery grounds, Calm Ground Harbor, where we have these caricature boards where you put your face in it, you take a picture. It could be like maybe a fisherman next to the cleaning station or whatever, and catching a redfish or something and being able to get in there and take a picture. Maybe you don't catch any fish, you go out there and do that. So, that's the kind of thing we want to do around here, and we've already got estimates on what it costs us to do that. We are actually raising the money to do that. I think we have maybe close to $1,000 saved up or raised already, and our goal is to have about 8,000 to 10,000, and maybe get about 10 to 12 of these things put all over these areas. With your permission, we would love to be able to do that.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Thank y'all. Good luck with that project. Yes. We move on to the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I move to approve the November 6, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Second. All approve?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any? I guess not. Anybody else here? Move on to public hearings. Case number PZ 2310-07, renewal of conditional use permit for Jesus Hinojosa.
Yes, so this case is a conditional use permit, and it has come before you a couple of times for renewal. And currently, the applicant is complying with all code violations that were previously cited. He has cleaned up the property very well and has maintained the property. On September 9th, the applicant went to the Planning and Zoning Commission for renewal request, and they recommended a 3 years renewal, and that is what is before you today. We still contact other agencies that can help with his situation, trying to figure out how best we can get him moved to a better location. I have Mr. Chris Grant, CEO of Coastal Bend Recovery Group, is going to give a little bit of talk about how these Harvey-related situations dried out, and it's kind of difficult also to help residents like Mr. Hinojosa to get the place.
Do you mind if I pass this on to you?
Certainly.
Just in case you haven't heard of this, have you guys heard of this?
What's the name of your?
Coastal Bend Disaster Recovery.
Yes.
Yeah, we, actually, he was a big help for us during Hurricane Harvey. We help people recover from disasters that lack the resources, either all or part of the resources to recover from disasters. We've been around since 2015. We started with a flood in Nueces County, Jim Wells. And then just when we're getting ready to close the books on that, Hurricane Harvey hit. And so we were active in disaster for Hurricane Harvey from when Harvey hit to March of this year. So we just actually exhausted all of our resources when it comes to Hurricane Harvey disaster. And the reason why we exhausted them all is because the funding just basically dried up. There's always a new disaster, so people just donate to the newest disaster, and so they just go to the new one. And so there was a GLO program that helped people get brand new houses. We actually helped, I think it's 404 families get brand new houses in the Coastal Bend. Some of them we built 80 houses. We replaced 79 mobile homes, and then we have helped the rest get general land office homes. But as far as disaster right now, everybody has pretty much been tapped out, and we're going into what we call blue skies, which is we scale back our staff to the point where we just have basically myself waiting for the next disaster. And in fact, we're actually trying to find funding just to keep our doors open so that we can be around. So unfortunately, if this case was presented 2 years ago, we probably could have found funding or probably could have found help. But unfortunately, I don't know of anybody. I mean, we talked about Habitat for Humanity. I know both of the Aransas County and then of course the Corpus Christi ones, that they're pretty much done with their Harvey stuff. They're just going back into building houses, which would then require a mortgage, you know. And so it's just one of those unfortunate things that drives me crazy, because you know, you hear about them after the fact. And so there's not a lot of options right now that I can think of. And I wish I knew of people that could help, but I just really, unfortunately, we're just on to the next, everybody's on to the next disaster. And we don't even have volunteers that we could have to help with it. So, did you guys have any questions for me?
I think so. No. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
This is favor of the council.
I'll make a motion that we grant the renewal of the conditional use permit for Jesus Hinojosa for a 3-year period to allow continuation of temporary dwelling in an RV on his property at 345 North Atlantic Street, being block 683, lots 5 and 6 in Aransas Pass, Texas, while alternative living arrangements can be secured.
All in favor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, we move on to case number PZ 2310-05, text amendments. Oh, are we tabling this? Okay, tabling that.
Yes, I need a motion to table.
Oh,
I make a motion that we table case number PZ 2310-05.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, city manager. What you got?
Okay. Mary, I believe you're taking this one.
Yes, the first item is to cast votes to the San Patricio County Appraisal District Board of Directors for a term to 2024-2025. Back in October, the city submitted nominations to the San Patricio County Appraisal District Board of Directors. The item that's before you today, again, is to cast votes for the Board of Directors. There are a total of 7 nominees, and the voting entitlement for the city of Aransas Pass is 132 votes. These votes can be cast for any one nominee or any combination of any of the nominees. Back in October, like I said, the council nominated 5 individuals, and those were John Curley, Dr. Ann Matula, William Swisher, Marcy Thormelin, and Bill Wilson. So you can cast all your votes for, like it's for one nominee, or you can distribute them amongst those 5 nominees or the 7 nominees. If you choose to distribute the votes among the city's 5 nominees, 4 of them will get 26 votes and 1 will get 28 votes. That will equal 132 votes. Or if you want to do all of the 7 nominees, cast your votes among the 7 nominees that are presented. 6 will get 19 votes and 1 will get 18 votes.
Y'all want to stick with the 5 that we originally nominated?
I don't quite remember which are the ones that we did.
All of them except 2 and 3.
Yeah, the city's 5 nominees were John Curley, Dr. Ann Matula, William Swisher, Marcy Thormelin, and Bill Wilson.
Oh, you're not looking at the same thing I'm looking at.
Well, I make a motion that we cast our votes to the ones that we nominated.
Okay. One of them will need to get 28 votes. Do you want to pick one for the 28 and the other 4 will get the 26?
I'd say Bill Wilson.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was there a second to that?
Second.
Yes.
That was good.
Okay, where are we? Consider and act, well, we'll move on to consider and act on resolution authorizing and approving membership in the city served by CenterPoint Gas for the purpose of suspending the December 4th, 2023 effective date of the Statement of Intent of CenterPoint Energy Resources Corporation, DBA, CenterPoint Energy Intex, and CenterPoint Energy Texas Gas to change rates in the Texas Division to permit the city time to study the request and to establish reasonable rates, finding that the city's reasonable rate case expenses shall be reimbursed by the company, authorizing participation with the city served by CenterPoint Gas, hiring legal and consulting services to negotiate with the company and direct any necessary litigation and appeal, and requiring delivery of this resolution to the company and legal counsel.
Okay. This filing is a little bit more complicated than other CenterPoint filings that we've had in the past.
Yeah.
It's asking for 2 things. One is they are requesting to consolidate all of its divisions, and they have 4 divisions. That's the Houston Division, the Texas Coast Division, the South Texas Division, and the Beaumont East Division. So they're requesting to consolidate them into one division, and it will be called the Texas Division. As a result of this consolidation, different divisions are going to be seeing different changes in their monthly charges. Aransas Pass residential customers will see, are actually going to see a decrease of $13.
That's a first.
Yeah, but the second thing that they're asking is they're also requesting an increase in the non-gas revenue of $37.4 million over its entire system. So other divisions will probably see an increase. So what the coalition is asking is to pass a resolution to to suspend the rate change for 90 days to allow them time to review the filing. So the ordinance or the resolution that you have before you today, again, is to suspend the deadline to allow for them to review the filing. So if you decide to take action on the resolution today, that's what we'll be doing, is to suspend it for 90 days.
Well, I make a motion that we suspend the resolution for 90 days in order to allow the legal teams to evaluate it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move on to consider an act on canceling the December 18th, 2023 regular council meeting. I agree.
This is being requested because it's in the middle of the holidays. A lot of people are gone. So consequently, we wanted to ask you if you're open to the dismissal, the cancellation of this meeting.
I move to cancel the December 18th, 2023 regular council meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're not doing the reports, correct? No. Okay, so we move on to Development Services, OpenGov Software Building Department. Consider an act on approving a 3-year contract
Sorry.
with OpenGov, Inc. to purchase OpenGov Cloud permitting, licensing, and code enforcement solution through Vertisoft, LLC, using the Texas Department of Information Resources Cooperative Purchasing Contract number 4227, Purchasing Cooperative.
Evening, everyone. As Mayor Pro Tem said at the workshop that we had before, it's time to bring the building department out of the dark ages and bring on modern software. So we're trying to get away from the software that we're using just because it is so outdated. It's basically using sticks and rocks to make a fire at this point. This will help not only the building department, but our builders in the city, and help them be able to see their inspection results, be able to have better communication with us, and be able to streamline everything in one permit. Also, it'll help with the code enforcement division, because at the moment, code enforcement has no program to record their cases on. We're using an Excel sheet at the moment, and it's just not flying anymore. I'm hoping that y'all agree to bring on this program and help the city grow.
Thank you, Joseph. No? Favor of the council?
I can't see y'all. Okay.
That's the first one, right? I move to approve a 3-year contract with OpenGov, Inc. to purchase OpenGov cloud permitting, licensing, and code enforcement solution throughout Vetrasoft LLC, using the Texas Department of Information Resources Cooperative Purchasing Contract number 4227, Purchasing Cooperative.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. Yay! We needed that for sure. We were in the dark ages there. Okay.
You need the second part to that.
Oh.
The money.
The money.
Yeah.
Consider an act on resolution regarding the financing agreement for the purpose of procuring permitting. Hate it when we have to pay for things. Permitting and licensing software for the building department, and designating the city manager as the authorized signer of the financing agreement.
It is pretty much simple. We're going with government capital. They've done our financing for capital leases for other pieces of equipment that we purchased for the city. We're suggesting for 3 annual payments of $45,455 per year. First payment due a year from the date of signing, so a year from today. This is a budgeted item, so that'll give us enough time to go ahead and put them in the budget for next year and for 2 years after that.
All right, thank you. All in favor of the council?
I move to act on a resolution regarding the financing agreement for the purposes of procuring, permitting, and licensing software for the building department, and designating the city manager as the authorized signer of the financing agreement.
All in favor?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Move on to consider an act on approving the agreement with Cintas as uniform provider for a 3-year period.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I always had a saying, if you take care of your pennies, your dollars will take care of themselves. Well, this was literally a game of pennies. So we were able to save a few cents on shirts, on pants. Everybody gets 11 sets, and when you multiply it by 40 employees, 52 weeks in a year, we were able to save quite a bit of money on this. So the recommendation to, right now we're using UniFirst, so if this gets approved, we'll just switch over to Cintas.
So the cost is going to be less, or?
Yes,
Okay.
there are savings on it.
Because I can't. Okay.
Is it on the agenda memo?
I don't.
I'm trying to get it to
Let's
download
see,
it.
I don't think it's there, but.
to consider approving the switch from UniFirst to Cintas as our uniform provider. So basically, you're approving the agreement.
I was just looking at the memo.
Okay.
But it is a savings, you say.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Favor of the council?
Okay.
I move to approve an agreement with Cintas as uniform provider for a 3-year period.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, there you go. Cintas uniforms. Consider an act on the issuance of a request for proposals for hot mix for the Beasley paving project.
This will save a little bit more than just pennies, just so you know on this one. This one is just basic. I just need permission to start advertising for material only. So this road is about a little bit more than a mile and a quarter. So the material cost is going to be over our purchasing threshold. So we would have to advertise for a vendor to provide the material.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the issuance of requests for proposals for hot mix for the Beasley paving project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consider an act on the issuance of a request for proposals for trucking to haul hot mix for the Beasley paving project.
Okay, so once we buy it, we need to get it over to us. So more likely that trucking is going to be slightly over the $25,000 threshold. I did want to, even though I feel like we might be very close, I wanted to bring it to council anyway, because there's times that the plant breaks down, or there'll be, hey, we're not going to run today, and the trucks are waiting. We have to pay them a minimum, even if they don't. So I really want to have that cushion in there. So to stay within our procurement policies, we would need to advertise for trucking as well.
I make a motion to issue a request for proposals for trucking to haul hot mix for the Beasley paving project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. David, I have a question for you, not to put you on the spot. I know you do, I'm just asking for the public, have a list of streets to repair?
Yes, on the budget presentation, I listed, I think it was 3 or 4 years worth of streets. So this is year number 2. I think year number 2, Beasley was going to take up the full $250,000. So we're setting $250,000 every year to do overlays. So I know we did Gillespie, we did, trying to think the other, we did Ransom. We still have a couple of other small streets we have to do, but we're going to go and jump over to Beasley now that we've gotten a little paving rhythm going. So I don't want to lose that. So we're going to do this. If we can get the advertisements and the bids in, we want to do it by the beginning of January. And then from there, we'll present again next year. But even though we have this plan, we still have to come forward to the council to ask for the $250,000.
Correct. Okay.
And I'll still get with you tomorrow on that
Yes,
also.
correct. Yeah.
All right.
I was wondering, Gary, I know on the monthly newsletter that you put out to the public, if you can just kind of list the streets from Public Works, so, just the schedule, so they'll know, where if they have a concern with one particular street when it's scheduled to be paved, just kind of update it just every so often, so the public is made aware.
That's a good idea, if you could send that to me.
Yeah, sure, because I always, I don't have social media, but sometimes my employees tell me, hey, somebody's complaining about this street. Coincidentally, we're doing it like literally the next week. So if we had the communication out, then maybe the residents can understand that, hey, it is coming, it's inevitable, we are gonna pave, and we're gonna continue paving.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Moving on to public safety, presentation of federal surplus property used by the Aransas Pass Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So this is a customary annual requirement since we participate in federal asset or surplus program. We have to provide a report. This began last year, was the first report. I presented to council, and then I also will have to publish it in the local newspaper. So you have a copy of the report there. And the things that must be reported are limited to restricted or controlled assets. Those are all the assets that are basically on loan to the police department. We don't own them. For example, the MRAP is one of those vehicles. It's basically on loan to the police department. We don't own it. They can recall it at any time. They also do these limitations on certain types of firearms and stuff of that nature, and it's all in the report there for you. And like I said, it will go out to the paper after this meeting.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Move on to consider an act on ordinance amending the City Code of Ordinances, Section 28 through -23, same school zones, and Section 28-24, one-way streets and alleys, providing to erect and maintain school speeding zone signs, providing a penalty for violation, repealing all conflicting ordinances, providing a savings and severability clause, providing for publication in the official newspaper, and providing an effective date.
So the best way that I can demonstrate what we're looking at doing is this map right here. I actually worked with Wayne Bennett to come up with this illustration. So he created the map, not me. But he created it based off of the SRO recommendation and staff that are in these school zones. Some of the times were different in some zones. You had all-day school zones in a couple areas. You had school zones that were more of an inconvenience, like along Wheeler. Never did we see a kid or anything crossing around that area. Didn't know where or why it was necessary. We presented this back to you a couple of months ago. I also wanted feedback and information going to the schools so that if there was anybody in the school, I know that this is the governing body, but the school might have input and feedback. They did. They did have some input and feedback, and that was based on the one-way routes by the Panther on the far right there. So incorporating all the feedback we received, what we want to do is eliminate the all-day school zones. They're unnecessary. We want to go from a more consistent time when we observe kids in these school zones using them, and that's from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. in the morning, 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. The yellow lines indicate the school zones that we're looking at. The red lines indicate the school zones that exist today that we suggest be eliminated. And the green arrows are the one-ways that we recommend continue. And those one-ways, because we don't want to confuse motorists, we do request that they continue all day long from 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. in those respective areas. And if you recall back when Falk was opened up a few years back, we actually were able to eliminate one of the one-ways based off of the way the school devised the traffic plan under that new campus. So that is the recommendation from Public Safety to consider these new school zones. If you guys were to approve this, our goal and hope is not to make it kick off the day of publication, Wednesday. That would be crazy. We want to forecast this to the public, put the information out, and we were thinking either coming back after the Christmas break, that way we can build up to it, or even starting off the new year, new school year that is, with the school zone. My recommendation would be maybe coming back off the Christmas break. That gives us enough time to really push it out.
I think so.
Get information out.
That's good. I agree. Favor of the council?
that I make a motion that we approve amending the City Code of Ordinances, Section 28 through 23, same school zones, and Section 28 through 24, one-way streets and alleys, providing to erect and maintain school speeding zone signs, providing a penalty for violation, repealing all conflicting ordinances, providing a savings and severability clause, providing for publication in the official newspaper, and providing an effective date, which would be after the Christmas holidays. Do I need to include that, or?
I would say when the school is planning to return.
When the school is planning to return from the Christmas break.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good.
And that date for you on the agenda is January 8th, 2024.
January 8th. Okay.
All right. Move to consider and act on approving the city to hold an online auction through Renee Bates Auctioneers to sell old, broken, or no longer used city property and destroy any unsold or otherwise designated for destruction indicated items.
So Mayor and Council, Tim and Council, thank you again for that. I've kind of taken on this role citywide several years ago when we had the most property to get rid of, and Gary expects me to do it regularly, or he beats me. No, this is just another city auction. There are some department heads that needed an auction. We did at the police department. You have that list there. I'm sorry the list is kind of cramped. It's kind of the best way I can print it out in the way we kind of are able to monitor everything and keep track of everything. There is some property on there that's indicated for destruction. Basically, it's end of life, can't really go anywhere. For example, broken tasers that are no longer serviceable. I'm not going to auction those off. Somebody fix them and then use them for malintent. We'd rather just destroy them. Taser won't fix them for us anymore. So that's the list. If you approve, it's been sent to the auctioneers in preparation for posting, and we have a very strict timeline that we've already built out to follow.
Okay. I move to act on approving the city to hold an online auction through Renee Bates Auctioneers to sell old, broken, or no longer used city property and destroy any unsold or otherwise designated for destruction indicated items.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to city council or staff announcements. Post update on the 10th annual Fall Feast event. Kaylin Paxson.
Good evening again. So as everyone is aware, last week on Thursday we held the City of Aransas Pass 10th annual Fall Feast, and it was a spectacular success. It was a beautiful evening where hundreds of community members came together and celebrated this traditional evening of gathering of friends and family. We're excited to say that we were able to count a little better this year with the help of our partners, Butter Churn, and there was 866 plates served,
oh, wow.
Which is a record number for us and a testimony to the fact that, you know, our community is growing and getting closer and successfully bonding and wonderful things. And we could not have done it without the support and help of you all as council members and other city leaders and departments and the community, of course, coming out and participating. We did have a number of very generous sponsors. Melinda Williams with Anchor Point Realty and Why Not Getaway Rentals, Roland Barrera Insurance, Frontier Waste, Lineberger's Attorney at Law, Ardura, and of course Butter Churn. While we do, of course, contract with them to provide the meal, they do offer and provide so much more than what they charge the city for, and so they're great partners. We had great activity stations this year. A couple of our classics, the Women's Club provided desserts alongside with the Monday Club Juniorettes, and that was a wonderful treat. We had the fire department, police department. The children really enjoyed those stations, especially the Santa notes and the obstacle course. We had face painting. Our library attended. It was a really fun evening, and we couldn't have done it without your support. So I would say 10th year went off with a bang. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do. That is a huge endeavor.
Butter churn and Public Works. Yes, Public Works. They always roll up their sleeves. Finance helps serve the drinks. It's one of my favorite pictures as you guys just lined up right there. So thank you all. Couldn't be done without
And
anyone.
Santa showed up too, right?
Santa did show up. His
Yes.
list got much longer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Citizen comments are intended for matters that are not scheduled on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. Be advised that the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the City Council from responding and discussing your comments. The law authorizes the following: make a statement of factual information, recite existing policy, advise that this subject may be placed on the agenda for a subsequent meeting. Yes, sir.
My name is Pat Amsden. I live at 161 Sunset in Ingleside on the Bay. I'm going to kind of take you back to Patrick Nye's presentation for IOB Coastal Watch. I just have a couple of comments. I spent a career in heavy industry, heavy energy intensive industry. I know how those guys think. And I'll just leave you with one visual. We are like bugs on their windshield. You know, they will come into your community, they will hand out some dollars, which is greatly appreciated. It's great that they do that, but they buy us when they do that. And so, just so you'll be aware that companies like Enbridge and Cheniere and even Exxon over in Portland, those people look at us as a nuisance. We are simply obstacles to their plans. And again, I give you that from having been on that side of the equation for a lot of years. So the whole point of it is as you see these developments come at you, any help that you can give to try to hold them accountable for the impacts of what they're going to do, we need. And all I have to ask you to do is go to the Houston Ship Channel or go to Port Arthur and open your car window and take a deep breath and see what you have. Well, that's what's coming our way if we don't keep those people accountable. And as he pointed out, you cannot depend on TCEQ to do that, because their job is to encourage industry and to keep us all quiet and lull us to sleep. So just remember, we're bugs on the windshield unless we do something about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to come up and say one more thing. One thing I forgot to mention in the things that we can do, that we actually have an Aransas Pass San Patricio County Town Hall coming up on December 13th at 6 p.m. at the Aransas Pass Civic Center. This is actually being put on by EDF, which is the Environmental Defense Fund. They have created a website and app that is called the Climate Vulnerability Index. And basically what it does, it says the U.S. Climate Vulnerability Index visualizes how drivers of cumulative vulnerability disadvantaged communities across the U.S. better understanding of the intersections between growing climate risk and pre-existing long-term health, social, economical, and economic conditions is critical to effectively deploying targeted adaptation efforts and building climate resistance for everyone. So what they have told us so far is they're going to teach us how to use this website and this app to gather this information on how vulnerable your particular county is. They did tell us that San Patricio County is already at a 98%, and I think I looked up this afternoon, and I think Nueces County and Aransas Pass were in the high 80s. So if you want, I can leave you this brochure on when the date is, as well as the information on that.
Yes. Thank you very much. All righty. Thank you.
Chase and follow up. So today I'm going to talk about the fire station we want to build and a little bit about the fire department. So the fire department's policy manual states that the fire department or fire officials should live within the city. It says that they should live within the city so they can bond with residents, support the city, and my favorite is for quicker response times. Now, our response times are less than average, and I can prove that and show you later, but I want to step forward to NFPA Standard 1710, which the fire department must follow. So this is your process for getting en route and getting there, right? Alarm process time should be less than a minute. I just got one example with me, and I can show the crowd. It took 25 minutes to dispatch this one. Timeout should be 1.2 minutes. That means get ready and get en route. This one took 8 minutes, so we've already wasted 33 minutes. And if anybody knows the golden rule on EMS and fire department, it's 10 minutes, right? So I asked for public protection clarification, which is our ISO rating the fire department has to have. I was told by the city we didn't have one. I was told by the city that no response. I was told by the city no response. I asked numerous times for it. So I went ahead and quoted our famous Chief Kelly, who was our fire marshal from the last council meeting, and he stated on there about the new fire station that it will not affect our ISO rating. I quoted that, sent that to the city, and within 5 minutes, what'd they do? Send me the ISO rating, because they were lying to me numerous times. Gary, you put on Facebook talking about the fire station. Once you make a political post on your personal post, it becomes political. You stated on there because people were crying and mad at you because they want our streets and roads fixed first instead of a $16 million fire station. You put on there that we're getting a $50 million FEMA grant. First of all, you blocked me for asking questions on there, which is illegal, and there's case law against that. And I've already talked to my attorney, and yes, you were getting sued. He is suing you. He's sending you paperwork for that one. It's a First Amendment right violation. Good luck, as you would say. Another thing, Carrie, is there is no government documentation supporting your claim about the $50 million ask. The city doesn't have anything. You lied. Let's move on to Chief Blanchard. Chief Blanchard, you talked about the fire department, and you wanted this new fire department. And you put on there that case studies show that fire departments or new fire departments lessen carcinogenics. So I don't know where you got that from unless that fire station was built in the 70s where there has asbestos. The scientific journals on that, if you knew anything about fire department, would tell you that they get carcinogenics, meaning the fire department gets carcinogenics, from not being trained on decontamination. That's how they get it. Are we trained on decontamination? Because that's what you should put on there, not that lie. That makes no sense. You also put on there that the fire station's going to grow, and that has continued to grow. Well, I'm very confused, and so are a lot of citizens, because our population has been the same for decades. Why is our fire department growing? And if our response time's poor like that, maybe train our guys better or get your fire marshal to do his job. Now, I was going to talk about ISO today and the ladder truck, but I don't have time, so I'm just going to leave you with this on the ladder truck. I'll get you next time, then. ISO and ladder truck for next time, guys. Be prepared. Study, Chief Blanchard, study.
If there's no one else, we will go right into executive session. 551-071 of the Texas Open Meetings Act to meet with its attorney to speak legal advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the City Council under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act and Section 551.087 deliberations regarding economic development negotiations relating to Estes Point Development, LLC, and Con Brown Harbor Lease, Underwater Services, Inc.
The time is 6:49.
Thank y'all. See y'all. Bye.